Hey guys, this is a video I've wanted to make for quite a while and I was planning on it being a lot more than this, like not just to stand and talk to you guys, but you've seen the title, there's no point kind of building anything up. I have epilepsy. Now here's the thing, I'm not the type of epileptic that always has a seizure like every single day. Mine are very, very, very controlled and I've been seizure free for 2 years now. But the reason why I'm making this video is because there is a huge stigma around epilepsy, and I know that I haven't actually told many people I know in real life, and I know that some of you subscribe to me, so hey. Yeah, the point of me making this video is to show you that a lot more people are living with epilepsy than you think. It is often not something that's talked about often. About 10% of Americans will have a seizure in their life, and 1 in 26 people will have that develop into epilepsy, which means they have more than one seizure. Now 70% of people have this controlled by medication, which is where I fall into, thank goodness for that. I'm very, very lucky, but the other 30% really, really struggle and just consistently have seizures no matter what. And it gets complicated. But yeah, a lot more people have it than you think. I am one of them, and I'm basically just going to share my story of it with you guys. I had my first seizure, oh, how many years ago was it now? It was in 2012, April 2012, so that was over 3 years ago now. I was just at home with my brother, hadn't eaten that day, got up to make lunch, looked into a very bright light that was coming out of my kitchen window, and then next thing I know, I was on the floor. Now my brother was only 12 at this point, so the poor boy had to ring mum and she called an ambulance and all that. The ambulance came and they told me, because I had just started taking the pill at that point, they're like, no, your body is just malfunctioning because of the pill, don't worry about it. They were wrong. Now, a couple of months later, in December of that same year, December 2012, I had another huge seizure. I also had not eaten that day. I'd spent the entire day at home, and I think it was about 4 p.m, come home once again in a bright light, and then down. Now this time I was out for probably half an hour. I woke up to ambulance officers checking me out, loading me into an ambulance. I had a huge bruise like all the way along here for like a week. It was yellow. And yeah, I spent a couple of hours in hospital while they gave me CT scans and everything to make sure that I hadn't had like a brain tumor or anything really serious. But yeah, all the scans came out clear. They referred me for an MRI, which I then went to a couple of days later, and that was also clear. But the biggest thing that I was worrying about that time was I was not allowed to drive until they figured out what was wrong. I was on my learner's license, which it just annoyed me because everyone around me was getting their full license and I wasn't able to complete my hours because I had to stop driving for about a month until I got my, what is it called? I got an EEG at the hospital, which basically they put electrodes on your head, subject you to like strobe lights and make you hyperventilate and measure your brain activity. And that came back normal as well. And then I had to wait to see a neurologist. That took another month, and yeah, he basically just told me, you have had 2 seizures, you have epilepsy, and that was all there is to it. So yeah, with that meant I was not allowed to drive from 6 months of my last seizure, which was from December all the way up until June, and by the time it came to June, I had turned 17 and was able to get my full license, but I was still 20 hours away from completing my 100 hours. But yeah, after the neurologist, I went on to some medication, just the lowest dose of Keppra, which is, the active ingredient is levetiracetam or something similar to that. Another thing with epilepsy is everyone's triggers are completely different. Obviously the stereotype is strobe lights, but I'm completely fine. I can go out to clubs, I can just do regular things with strobe lights and I will not be affected majorly by them. My triggers are not getting a good night's sleep, although that can vary. Not eating well. I need to have breakfast and lunch and dinner every single day, plus snacks in between. I need to drink lots of water, and I need to make sure that I just don't sit in the very dark room the entire day and just be a social hermit. I have to actually go outside. But yeah, so I saw the specialist in February of 2013, was diagnosed February 2nd, 2013. I didn't know anyone else who had epilepsy because no one talks about it. Little did I know that there were 2 other people in my year level at school out of the 100 of us that also had it. Yeah, all was going well. In June I was able to drive again, and then, so this is the start of June, I was able to drive. 2 months later, the day before my school formal in August, I had another seizure. I was very sick. I had a cold, I had slept terribly the night before. I get up, go downstairs, start talking to mum, and then I'm down again. Now after not being able to drive for another 6 months, I was just bawling that I could not get my provisional license for another 6 months after that. I had to go back to the neurologist the next week. I got put on a higher dose of medication, had to adjust to it all again, and that medication makes you drowsy. And I was in my final year of high school, so I was trying to cope with that as well as the added stress of high school. It was a rough time. So yeah, I spent the rest of my high school life not being able to drive. And it got to 2 weeks before I was about to leave for university, and I finally could drive again. I got the last 5 hours up, I sent away my logbook, I booked in a test date, got my provisional license in April of 2014, which, it was the best moment of my life after having so many struggles. And ever since then, I haven't had a single worry, except whenever I upgrade my license or get it renewed, I have to make sure I have a current medical certificate that is not out of date for my car, and I have to keep going back to the neurologist every single year. Now basically this means I'm taking medication twice a day for basically the rest of my life, although I did discuss with my neurologist last time I was there, because this type of medication affects pregnancy, and I am only 19, but obviously I want to have kids in my future, and I would just want to know if that would be possible on medication. And he basically said to me that if I stay seizure free for the next 5 years, I think, then he will start weaning me off medication. This is weird to talk about at 19. But yeah, it is now July of 2015, and as of next month, I'll be seizure free for 2 years, and as of August next year, 2016, I'll be able to donate blood, which is something I've been wanting to do for so long. But yeah, I was diagnosed with epilepsy at the age of 16. I am now 19 and living with it fine, and yeah, hopefully I don't relapse or have another seizure, because that would suck. But yeah, thank you for listening to my story. Please realize that a lot more people have epilepsy than you think, just no one wants to talk about it. I guess if you share it around, maybe you'll reach someone who also has epilepsy but is too scared to tell anyone, or wants to find someone that also has epilepsy to share their experiences with, I guess. Share this around. It can only do good to other people, because as I said, 1 in 26 people have epilepsy in the United States, and I'm assuming that figure is pretty similar across the world. But hey, that's a part of my life. It's something that I've been diagnosed with, it's something I have to live with, and that doesn't make me any different from anyone else. I am still a completely normal person, able to live my life completely normally, except I can't pull all-nighters, which kinda sucks. But yeah, thank you so much for watching this to the very end, because honestly, it means a lot to listen to my story. Yeah, please help me out and help people see this video. Liking this, watching it a lot of times, I guess, sharing it will all help it reach more people and hopefully help some people. So just know that I am here to talk if you need it. I may not have the type of epilepsy which can't be controlled, but I have still experienced it, and I guess it's better than nothing. But yeah, please leave a comment on this video, give it a thumbs up, subscribe to me if you haven't already, and yeah, watch my last video, which will be up here, another video which will be down there. Thank you, your support means more than you'd ever think, and I will see you guys next week. Bye!